Teenagers today are spending enormous time on social media or online games on their smartphone, on the computer during their free time, or when they're doing their homework. And what we're interested in knowing is perhaps the reason why they spend so much time on the internet is because they don't get enough satisfaction from their real life interaction. We think perhaps that's why they turn to online relationships. We want to know how social connectedness in virtual online world may substitute for the social connectedness in the school context, and how this may in turn affect their depressive symptoms in the long term. So our study used data from the Taiwan Education Panel Survey. Taiwan Education Panel Survey is a longitudinal study that started in 2001 and surveyed about 14,000 junior high school students. This is a representative sample of the 1988 or 1989 birth cohorts who were in 12th grade in year 2006. And then about 4,200 students were followed for 3 more times after baseline. So what we use for this analysis is data from these 4 waves to examine our research question. The analytical method we use here is called latent growth curve analysis. This is a method that helps us to describe the change of internet use via time by providing a coefficient for the baseline and another coefficient for the slope. In this study, the intercept factor represents the baseline level of internet use from age 15 to 18, adjusted for measurement error, and the slope is a linear trend of changes in internet use behavior from age 15 to 18. What we found is social connection in school at age 13 significantly reduced the initial amount of internet use. However, the growth of internet use was not related to the social connection in school assessed either at age 13 or 17. And we also found that the growth in internet use was positively associated with the presence of depressive symptoms at age 18. So what we originally hypothesized was that students who were frustrated by poor social relationships in a school setting may be more likely to spend more time in the online world to compensate for their needs to socialize. So it was true at the baseline, age 13. So we see a negative correlation between initial social connection at age 13 and the baseline for the internet use. However, the following growth of internet use was no longer related to the extent of how the students were connected in their school life. Our explanation is that once students are used to obtaining rewarding gratification from the online experience, their offline social connections are independent of the subsequent growth of internet use. So how connected you are in school, in real life, may only have a role in the beginning of your internet use, in your internet use behavior, but not as important in the later habitual process of internet use.
Social integration in the school context is an essential part of the adolescent social network. They may affect the main aspect of their health behaviors, including internet uses. Given its impact on internet users to be more evident and decisional in the beginning as the habit, proactive measures that aiming to decrease their time spent online while improving the social integration to school should be implemented at an earlier stage. From a practical perspective, educators and school administrators may consider designing classes with an interactive format to facilitate bond and social development among students, such as student clubs, sports, and volunteering work in their recess time. Besides, the subsequent changes in the pattern of the internet uses, although no more influenced by school social integration, obviously exert differential effects on the development of depressive symptoms. The stakeholders of the adolescent health should advise of the proper internet uses so as to prevent the mental health risks. When counseling excessive the internet uses, emphasis could be laid on encouragement of physical participation in school or community activities, that involved more peer interaction. To sum up, our findings highlight the need for parents, teachers, and healthcare providers to assess the adults' the social networking and mental well-being, therefore giving them the capacity and provide guidance for internet users accordingly.